Hey guys, I have Loki here for today's experiment. He's gonna be my helper. He's actually leaving. But for today's experiment, we do need to answer a simple question. And with that question, we're gonna go ahead and form a hypothesis, and then we're gonna get going with our experiment. Let's talk about the materials we need for today's experiment. To start off with, I have some Dawn dish soap. You do not need a whole lot. With the Dawn dish soap, we need a Q-tip. I put actually the Dawn dish soap on a little palette just so I can dip it a little bit, the Q-tip a little bit easier into the Dawn dish soap. I have a couple different colors of food coloring. It doesn't matter which ones you have. I have red, green. I have some blue too. So we also need a little bit of milk. We need just enough milk to cover the bottom of a plate. I poured about 4 ounces. I probably don't even need that much. And then I need, obviously, a plate. So just to go over the materials one more time, I have Dawn dish soap, I have a Q-tip, I have food coloring, I have milk, and I have a plate. All right, so again, if going back to the question, what happens when we insert a Q-tip that has Dawn dish soap on it into a plate that has milk and food coloring? Let's answer that question by conducting an experiment. So the few steps that we do need to take are pretty simple. First, I want to go ahead and pour my milk into my plate. I'm going to pour just enough to kind of cover the bottom of it. I don't want too much, so I'm actually using about 2 ounces of milk, really. All right, put that to the side. Just a side note, kind of like the ice cream experiment, this experiment's going to work best with milk that's whole milk or 2% milk. Again, it has to do with the fat content in the milk. So I'm going to bring it down. Here's my plate full of milk. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drop some food coloring into my plate. Doesn't matter where you put it. This experiment is a whole lot of fun. I first learned about this experiment, when I was at James Madison University learning how to become a teacher. This is one of the experiments we did as a group of college kids, and this was impressive for a group of college kids. I can't wait to see what happens when you guys try it at home. All right, I kind of just put my food coloring everywhere. With the food coloring kind of going to the side, the only thing that's left is our dish soap. So we're going to take a second, pause the video if you want to try it on your own, because what I'm going to do is show you exactly what happens. All right, I'm going to take my Q-tip. I'm going to put some Dawn dish soap in it. All right, and I'm going to take the Q-tip with the dish soap on it and go ahead and touch the milk where the food coloring is. Now again, if you want to try it on your own and see what happens in your own experiment, go ahead and pause the video. Those of you still with me, let's see what happens. Whoa! This is so cool. I stinking love this experiment. I'm gonna go back in on the other side of my Q-tip, get some more dish soap. Let's over here. Let's see what happens. Haha. This is so cool. And you guys can keep going with that. You can get another Q-tip. Oh, look, it's still moving. You can play around with it. So let's quickly chat about the why. Why did this work? So as you can observe, once we took our Q-tip with our dish soap and touched the food coloring in the milk, the food coloring spread out, kind of like a tie-dye watercolor effect. The reason why this works is a pretty simple concept. When your hands get dirty and maybe they're like oily and you got some sticky stuff on them, you use hot water and soap to get it off. Well, same concept with the dish soap and the milk. So what's really happening, there's not really a reaction with the dish soap and the food coloring. The purpose of the food coloring is to see the reaction between the dish soap and the milk. Well, because we wouldn't be able to see the reaction between the dish soap and the milk because milk is all white and dish soap is blue or whatever color you have at home. So the reason for the food coloring is to see what happens, it's to see the reaction. Now what the reaction is, the dish soap that touches the milk is going to separate the fat that's in the milk from the water that's in the milk. That is the reaction that is occurring. So kind of like how water and oil don't mix, well, fat and water don't mix when soap is added to the equation. All right, and that's why it's so important to have a milk where there's a high fat content, either whole milk or 2% milk.